Okay, so I'm supposed to crash the wedding. Dane says, the wedding is on. Oh, and the event is formal. Wear something nice, okay? Don't embarrass me here. I don't know where I can possibly get formal attire, but that's not really Gat's style anyway, so not really much of a point to it. I think the only time that Gat's ever worn a suit was at a court hearing for killing over 100 people. And, yeah, that didn't actually work out so well for anybody involved. Except for Gat.
Let's see what these things can do.
Where the hell? Okay, over here.
The time had come for the black wedding that would unite Johnny and Jezebel as Hell's new power couple. The tabloids were already calling them Johnny Bell, but Johnny had something different in mind.
Hey, Satan! You want to get out of here?
I can't believe that worked.
Occam's razor.
Playtime is over, Mr. Gat. Save them if you can.
I love weddings.
Waiting for you, Gat. One more immortal.
Ah. Shit! Damn it!
You will not touch me. I am invincible.
I think I found a pretty good formula on how to defeat him. Just using the sort of the purple power. I don't even know what it's called, honestly, but it kind of solidifies him into stone. And then shooting him with the rocket launcher seems to work pretty well. Okay. Oh, hey, get off me. Fuck off. Oh, shit. Son of a bitch.
I don't think so. Lost the will to fight.
Right. Alright, that's not doing anything, apparently. Damn it.
That's all hell's got to offer?
Oh yeah, I just realized I have the wrong one to access.
The gazelle hunts the lion. I think not. Enough!
And like that, the battle had ended. Satan could no longer suffer the indignity of being beaten by a mortal and disobeyed by his daughter, and so he banished them from perdition. But still, all was not well.
That was a direct order from your captain!
You're worse than Pierce!
Trivia night is sacred! You don't get to quit just because you know fuck all about pop culture.
Who knows the name of the Nightblade episode where they introduced Nightbladette?
It was called The Meaning of Reconciliation and it was directed by Kim Stein.
I can't believe Asha sleeps with you.
I can't believe you don't.
Boss, are you okay?
Yeah, I'm fine.
What is this place?
Whoa, 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 who the fuck is that?
Her name's Jezebel. She's the devil's daughter.
Pierce is gonna have a heart attack.
Nah, she likes to sing. Pierce will dig her.
I don't think...
Can you rock the narrator from Joseph?
Yeah?
She'll be fine.
Guys, where's Johnny?
Our hero had not yet returned to the mortal coil, for he was waylaid by none other than God himself.
I have a situation.
Look, man, I just really want to go home.
I owe you.
Huh?
Zinyak hastened the apocalypse. St. Peter's a good guy, bless his heart, but he was processing souls way too slowly. With the destruction of Earth, Satan had the numbers to storm heaven. All he needed was the President of the United States to lead them.
What, you think I couldn't do it?
No, I think you wouldn't do it. Aisha's up here.
I want to see her.
Slow down, buddy. I said that I owe you, and I'll make good on that. But I want you to know your options.
And now you, dear reader, shape the tale. If you want to see Johnny reunited with the love of his life, turn to page 31. If you want to see the devil defeated and Johnny crowned the new king of hell, turn to page 13. If you want the saints to find a new home world for what's left of humanity, turn to page 62. If you want God to recreate the earth, but in doing so retcon the entire world of Saints Row, turn to page 124. And finally, if you want God to bestow Johnny with the answers to all the questions of the universe, turn to page 248.
What the fuck? I don't even remember all the pages. Okay, have God bestow Johnny with answers to all the questions of the universe. Have God recreate the earth and retcon the entire world of Saints Row. Find the saints a new home. I don't know. I kind of want to see Aisha again. I like that. I like that. I know that none of these answers are gonna make a fucking difference. I don't know why I'm toiling over it so much. What should we do? You know what? Fuck it. Let's see Aisha again.
Johnny realized that this was his one chance to make it into heaven. He had to take it.
Hey, Ish.
Well, that is at least one of the endings to Saints Row Gat Out of Hell. Well, obviously this is just kind of a standalone sort of, not DLC, but you know. So it's not like I'd be reviewing it as an actual game, but what I know from Saints Row, the last two, is that they've kind of gone all out, especially with 4. They were just like, fuck it, we're making a completely different game with a completely different theming. And, 3 I had a hard time kind of accepting it because it wasn't, like, completely all out. 3 was sort of a weird bridge between the first 2 and the 4th, where it felt like it had some sort of an identity crisis. Whereas 4th was like, no, we know what we are now, we're just a toy. Saints Row 4 is basically a toy. Where you can do whatever the hell you want and just screw around and just have fun. And this was basically an extension of 4. And I enjoyed it to a certain extent, and maybe I just don't remember Saints Row 4 all that well, but it feels as though this one had a lot more repetition in it, and it just didn't feel like it had the same quality to it. I liked playing as Gat, because, Gat has always been my favorite character, even back in the original. But I don't know, I just feel a little bit less than impressed with what I got. Just the loyalty missions really left a bad taste in my mouth, because there was a little bit of deviation every once in a while, but for the most part it was pretty much the same thing every time, and that's the sign of just lazy game development. Maybe I'm being unfairly harsh on this game. It's not as if it was, full price or anything like that. But I don't know. I'm just a little bit underwhelmed by what I received. That having been said, it still had the same silliness and fucking around that 4 did. And so with that, context, I enjoyed it. I liked that they had Vogel returning. I like that you finally got to kill Dex, even though it wasn't exactly the way that most people were hoping it would be. That was a guy that I really was hoping to see a return of. Even back in Saints Row 2, I was wanting to see that guy, because it was obvious that he fucked over the Saints, and so did Julius, and you got your retribution with Julius, but not really with Dex. And just being, an old school Saints Row fan, I really wanted that sort of a storyline to have some sort of a culmination, and it never did, and I get why, and I respect why. They were going for a change. They didn't want to just be, Grand Theft Auto's little brother. They wanted to have their own sort of style, and I get that, and it's respectable and understandable, but that having been said, it still leaves me wanting for more. And them kind of like just saying, hey, go kill Dex a bunch of times, and he's not even really Dex, he's just some sort of zombie. It makes it feel as though they're kind of making fun of old fans for wanting it. And that's not necessarily a criticism, it's just something that I noticed, or at least that's an observation that I made. Apparently there was co-op, but with Kinzie, I didn't find that out until later. I wasn't really paying attention to the front menu, I guess. But yeah, that would have been kind of cool, I guess. I really like the musical aspect. I thought that was kind of funny. I didn't see that coming from anywhere. That just came out of the blue. But having Satan doing a musical is just the perfect fucking thing. And it was a very like unoriginal and sappy like Romeo and Juliet story almost. But it was self-aware of that, and I really like that. Like, Satan's supposed to be like this, no, you're getting married to this man, Jezebel, and I thought that was really funny. This game in general, or the series in general, tends to have a humorous sort of commentary on itself. Even in the first couple, they did that, and I always enjoyed that aspect of it. What else is there? I'm not going to talk about graphics. Graphics are, not optimal, but it's Saints Row. I'm not going to expect that out of them. There were a couple of glitchy issues. There were some cutscene problems that I noticed on occasion, that sometimes they wouldn't have sound. I would have to re-record them, and that would get really annoying. So yeah, this game wasn't perfectly tested in the development portion of it. So that was a little annoying. That's more so for me, but I guess for the average, player, it would be pretty annoying as well, to have to redo all that stuff. So, I guess you could take that into consideration. I'm gonna also show you the other few endings that there were, because I want to see them myself, and I think it would be interesting to see what happens with that. That having been said, I mentioned something earlier. This isn't really a part of the review. It's just more so something I wanted to kind of talk about. They were talking about, or I was talking about, not they. I was talking about how I'm kind of curious where they're going to go from here, because obviously this isn't going to be the end to the Saints Row franchise. So I'm really almost concerned about Volition and what they decide to do with the franchise, because they've kind of gone all out twice now. It's hard to go further than we're in hell and you're fighting the devil, who also happens to be in a musical. Like, how do you continue from there? How do you go more balls to the wall than that? Like, that seems like the cranking it up to 11 and then some, So I'm a little bit nervous. Not to mention, Earth doesn't exist anymore, so it's not like they have a lot of wiggle room. They could go back to aliens, I guess, but that just seems repetitive and not really like something that would be all that great. They could go back into virtual reality, I guess, but if there's anything that I think that they'll probably do, I wouldn't be surprised by something like time travel, or something like that. But I don't know. If they don't go the time travel route, I'm really not sure what they can do to make it even more holy shit, unless they go to a new galaxy or something, or alternate reality. Perhaps they go to a different dimension. Those are the sorts of crazy things I think that they might be able to do in Saints Row 5. But otherwise, I'm really not sure. Yeah, personally, I would rather them be grounded. I preferred the first two over the second two myself, but that's just me. I seriously doubt that they're going to go back on what they've established at this point. So it's an interesting notion, to think about, what this franchise is going to do next, because there's nothing really like Saints Row, and some people might look at that as a compliment, others might look at it as an insult. I look at it as somewhere in between. I don't know how I wanted to describe my feelings on it, but that's just how it is. What else? I think that's about it. I mean, if I had to give a grade on this DLC, or not DLC, you know what I mean, standalone, I'd probably give it like a 6.5 or a 7. It's, it's some good fun to fuck around in. It's not too expensive. Maybe a little bit more expensive than I would have liked to see, but overall, it's standalone. It's a little standalone. Takes about 3 hours to beat. It's once again, like I said earlier, it's a toy. I look at the Saints Row games like they're a toy, which sounds weird, but kind of like, I know it's not even nearly the same game, but like Smash Brothers or something like that, or Smash Bros or something like that. There's not really any sort of sincerity or seriousness to be taken from it. You're just screwing around, and in that aspect, I look at it as a toy. So it's kind of got its own sort of category, which separates it from most games. So I defeated Satan. That's pretty cool. Well, anyway. We're going to see if there's anything afterward. If there isn't, I'll go ahead and record those final few endings. And then we'll be done.
There were so many questions that Johnny needed answers to. Why did good people suffer? Was there a way to bring peace to all mankind? What was the secret to making a perfect lobster bisque?
Oh.
The end. In Hell's weakened state, the heavenly host made short work of Satan and those who were loyal to him. Soon, Johnny was the new ruler of Hell.
kind of pretty, isn't it?
Yeah, it kinda is.
Do you miss your friends?
Nah, I know they'll be down here in no time.
The end. As much as he loved Aisha, Johnny couldn't abandon his friends and the rest of humanity.
There it is.
The planet itself looks perfect. Oxygen base, lush forests, clean water, fertile soil.
What's the catch?
It appears to be inhabited by a psychotic warlike race. This is going to be our toughest fight yet.
Thank you, God.
The end. Johnny knew that he couldn't choose his own happiness at the expense of humanity, and so he asked God to reshape the world, hoping that maybe, just maybe, in this new life, he could find his friends again.
It's really her.
I can't believe we've bagged Brimstone.
It doesn't make sense. She's evaded capture for years. Why would she drop the ball now?
I don't know. When the lieutenant gets to interrogation, Brimstone's gonna talk.